Hello, folks. More of the same. Still kind of depressed and really making this more for me than I am for you. It's funny. Once I brought all my videos back online, I think I kind of flooded YouTube a bit, and I got all these responses to my last video, which was funny because nobody had responded to any of my videos in like years, almost pretty much. I don't know if it was because that video was particularly interesting or because um, or just because I had put so many of my videos online and somehow it got pushed into the algorithm and it got pushed out to people somehow. But anyway, this is a rare look for me. I'm smoking weed on TV, YouTube TV. It's not YouTube TV. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, that's right, folks. I do smoke weed. I'm not a stoner. Um, I'm really not a stoner. I only smoke occasionally. Rarely do I smoke alone. Usually it's a social thing for me. But feeling depressed as usual. I know some people would probably say weed doesn't really help. I don't know. It makes you feel good for a moment. It probably doesn't make you feel good for the long term. But I also don't think it makes you depressed long term either. And I also don't think it makes you particularly unproductive. It seems like I am either productive or unproductive regardless of the weed. I don't wake up and get high every morning or even smoke on a daily basis. In fact, I don't think I've smoked for at least a few days minimum. I've been playing cards. Usually I smoke when I play online cards with my friends. But anyway, that's a little side tangent here. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to basically make this video so I can vent. I would like to be able to talk to a psychologist, a therapist, but people say, oh, someone in my last video told me get help. I'd like to get help, but I don't have any money. And I reached out to try to get a therapist, and turns out the government, or well, I don't know. Turns out if you have shitty insurance like I do, that they will not generally pay for therapy, so you got to pay out of pocket. And I do have some money saved up, but I have my doubts about whether I don't want to burn through it all because I don't have any income coming in at this point. So I don't want to be throwing all my money away on therapy, especially when I think there's some questionable value to putting a lot of money into therapy at this point. Not that I don't think it would help, or that I don't know how much it helps more than me doing this. Honestly, people think that this is not a real answer to therapy. But what is a therapist really, other than somebody who listens the way, in my mind, I imagine you people are listening, even though it's a very small percentage of people who are actually listening. The funny thing is, more people are hearing me now than if I went to a therapist where it would just be one person. Now, obviously, that person's trained to help you. But I really wonder about the effectiveness of talk therapy because there was somebody recently. I do watch Bill Maher. I hate to admit that because Bill Maher is a self-satisfied douche a lot of the time. There's no question about it. I understand why people have issues with him. He's very highly opinionated. He thinks that he's extremely insightful. And sometimes he is insightful, but a lot of other times he's just biased and I don't know. I still find him entertaining and funny. I think he's still got a good sense of humor and he's a decent comic. Um, but he also, thinks he's right about everything, and it kind of makes him obnoxious. Um, I think he was one of the first um, public figures to call out, wokeism for some of the hypocrisy. I'm not trying to say I'm totally anti-woke because I've made videos saying that I have issues with the fact that trans issues and things like that are taking up so much of the space. It's not to say that I don't think trans people deserve to be respected and treated decently and that they shouldn't be allowed to do whatever the hell they want to do with their lives. I just think that that when they resort to body modification by hormonal means or through surgery, that it's, according to the studies, it's not necessarily solving any real problem. And it doesn't really seem like it's an effective way to treat the kind of mental turmoil they're going through. But I don't know. I haven't read these studies. This is just what I hear. So maybe there's some studies that prove the other. From what I've heard, the people that have been on Bill Maher anyway, he's probably biased, so he's got people on that wouldn't necessarily go. But it sounds like internationally, more or less, there's some questionable benefit to gender reassignment or hormonal shifts. So you have to, you can't just believe in things because you believe in them, and that's that. You got to look at scientific evidence, and if the scientific evidence is saying the stuff isn't working, then it's probably not a good idea. But this is not supposed to be about that stuff. I've talked about that before. I don't claim to be an expert on these things. But getting back to therapy, there was somebody on Bill Maher. The reason why I brought Bill Maher up is there was somebody on Bill Maher said that kids have had too much therapy, and that it's just not really helping the problem, I think that's my problem with therapy, is it's kind of like therapy can't fix a bad situation, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe therapy could be something that would spur me to kind of, take steps, I suppose, to improve my real world situation. It's like where my current mindset is just one of bemoaning the reality instead of trying to take active steps to tackle it. I don't know if just talking about your problems is effective, or maybe I think if anything was effective, maybe cognitive behavioral therapy might be. There are ways to control your thought process, I suppose, and break yourself out of negative patterns of thinking. That's the theory behind CBT. It might work. I feel like you need to do some kind of methodology like that. There's all this stuff about writing things down and reanalyzing how you talk to yourself and all these kind of things. I don't know. Maybe these things are useful. I'm not even sure how many therapists, use CBT or, how effective it really is. I haven't read the studies again. All I know is I can tell you what my current situation is. So I'm willing to try therapy, but not if I have to pay a lot of money for it. I have no income coming in. I have some money saved up, but it's not going to last long. My past history is I work, save up some money, be unemployed for a while, burn through my money, end up broke, get another job, cycle repeats. I'd really hate to see all my money dwindle down again, because I've had a decent amount of money saved up a few times in life, and if I'd probably had held on to what I'd had, if I just kept working, I could have probably worked some crap retail job like I was working, and with compound interest, and with the right investing, I could have probably had enough money that I wouldn't have to worry about money if I'd, started when I was in my 20s or whatever, early 20s. But then I would have had to have constantly worked a job this entire time, and I just, it's like I'm just lazy, I guess. I don't know. Like I said before, if you don't work a job that's prestigious, then you just feel disrespected all the time. If you do work a job that's prestigious, I really could have made some money if I'd gotten a prestigious job, but it seems like most of the prestigious jobs are just not jobs that I would enjoy doing, and that's what this really comes down to. I've started to get into, my quote-unquote schooling, my degree program. It's come with a lot of bad news. They analyzed my transcript. Apparently they're not going to take my English course. I think I'm appealing that decision, or at least I have to appeal it. I don't know. My advisor sort of made it sound like she would look into it for me, but then she probably has tons of students that she has to look into things for, so who knows if she'll ever get back to me, or if this is my job to submit an appeal or whatever the hell. I feel like it's my job, and, she seemed to be losing patience with me by the end. So maybe I got to submit this appeal myself. It's just everything is a roadblock, Going back to school, I found out today physics is only taught at 8:30 in the morning at my college, and there's one class only. There's one class, for physics, 8:30 in the morning. Now, you can probably imagine, I'm up right now, 2 in the morning. This is like I'm up till 4 or 5 pretty regularly. I mean, not necessarily 4 or 5. It's sometimes I get tired at 2, sometimes I get tired at 3. When I was working, I'd have to get up at 10, so I would go to bed. Sometimes I'd fall asleep at 2 in the morning. That still for me is, if I'm falling asleep at 2, then that's somewhat unusual. Usually I'm not getting tired until 3:30 at least. I don't know. Lately, I guess I have been getting tired at 3:30, but to get up at 8:30, I mean, it's just I haven't woken up at consistently in before 10 a.m. for quite a long time. When I went my last job at the co-op, I'd have to get there at noon, which meant I'd have to get up at 10:15, I think. For me, that was hard at first. I didn't even want to do that when I first started working there. I liked the closing shift, but I realized after a while it was so depressing being there till close that I was willing to get up a little bit earlier, get up at 10:15. But it's a different story getting up at 10:15 to be there at noon than having to get to school at 8:30. I lived 36 minutes away from my school. I was only 15 minutes away from work. I could afford to get up at 10:15, and that would give me enough time to get ready to be there at noon. That was an hour and 45 minutes. I'm talking about an hour and 45 minutes from 8:30. At 7:30. At 6:45. I gotta get up at 6:45 in order to 6:45 a.m. This is like not coming as a shocking number to a lot of you. You're like, oh yeah, sure, I get up at 6:45 every morning. For me, this is insanity. I'm sorry. I think last time I had to get up, I had to get up at 6:45 for training when I was working as a chauffeur, but that was only, I think, about 2 weeks, and it was torture. Every day I felt absolutely exhausted, totally worn out, because it was not my natural schedule at all. By the end of the training, I think I was just as stressed as I was at the beginning. It wasn't like my body adjusted to it. I've always gotten up after 10 p.m. if I can help it. Anytime I have to get up before 10 p.m., it's a huge struggle. And now I'm finding out that I'm going to have to get up at 6:45 a.m., 3 days a week, from September to November. September, October, November. It's like 3 months of getting up that early. I can't tell you how discouraging this is. Most people probably would think that this is I'm pretty weak to have my first major roadblock be to get to school by 8:30. But I'm telling you, this is gonna ruin. If you don't know what it's like, imagine if you get up, let's say at 7 in the morning every day. Imagine what it would be like to have to work a schedule where well, it's hard to go the other way. I don't want you to go later, but say you're used to getting up at 8 a.m. If I'm used to getting up at 10:15 the earliest, I'm waking up, let's see, 3 hours, 10:15 is 6 would be 4, so 3.5 hours earlier. So let's say instead of getting up, let's say you get up at 7 in the morning, like an average person usually gets up around 7. It'd be like getting up at 4:30 instead. Or sorry, 3:30. It was 3.5 hours, 3:30. Yeah. Imagine you had to get up at 3:30 instead every day, or sorry, 3 days a week. You know what that's gonna do to your circadian rhythm? It's something you could adjust to, but do you want to do it? Absolutely not. It's just a bullshit. It's a bullshit requirement. And it's all based around tradition. All you people get up early, you early risers, it's the tyranny of tradition. Oh yeah, well, in order to be a successful farmer, you need to get up at 6 in the morning. So therefore, there's this idea like, oh, you're not a responsible human being if you're getting up later than 8 a.m. in the morning. We have something called artificial light now, folks. You can get work done any fucking time of the day. You don't need to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning to be a productive individual. And if your argument is just, well, that's when other people are up, so that's when you should be getting up to do your work. Well, screw other fucking people. Why do they get to set the time? You think you're special because you naturally get up at 7 o'clock in the morning? I've even read that people that get up later tend to be smarter because they're making use of an adaptation, artificial light, that other people refuse to take advantage of because they have this idea like they're better people because they get up. I mean, it's so much fucking holier than thou BS. So anyway, yeah, because of the tyranny of you fucking early risers, who I can't stand, to be honest, fucking annoying ass people. You know, you wouldn't, maybe you don't understand my rage, but if you had to get up, 3.5 hours earlier than you usually did, thanks to a bunch of other fucking, earlier risers, you'd understand what it feels like. So that's the first negative news I heard. And it's for a physics class. That's the only physics class they teach is at 8:30. So I got to get up for a physics class. I don't want to learn physics at my best time of the day, let alone 8:30 in the morning. And what that's going to mean, I'm going to be exhausted. I'm going to have to do a crap ton of work because it's not just physics I'll be taking. And I'm going to be immediately dead. I'm going to want to go to sleep. By the time I get up, I'll have limited time to get my work done, and then I'll have to go to bed at, I mean, the earliest I can imagine going to bed is midnight. It's like I don't even want to go to bed any earlier than midnight. And midnight would give me 6 hours, 15 minutes of sleep, which isn't really enough. So it just ruins everything, This schedule is ruining everything for me. It's going to throw off my circadian rhythms. I'm going to be exhausted all the time. And it's going to be hard to focus, I decided on 3 classes, not 4, because I realized that to try to recall the knowledge from calculus while I also learn programming and something else, it's just going to be too much. I don't think I can do it. I don't even know if I can do 3. My 3 classes are either going to be, it's going to be physics for one. I have to start with the physics. They're making me start with that. My advisor seems to think strongly that I need to start with the physics. I may as well figure out right off the bat if I'm going to hack it, because the physics is going to be a huge challenge. I'm going to try to hold off on the calculus too. They say that since physics is heavily calculus based, that I'll get some calculus practice from the physics. I get the feeling like, last thing I want to be doing is taking a class that requires a calculus applied without actually teaching you the calculus by itself. So it seems like a bad idea to me, but. So physics would be one. And then the other 2 classes that I could take, both are, I was going to take 2 computer classes. One's data structures. I don't really understand what that class is 100%. It's very theoretical, I think. I have no idea what to think about that, if it's going to be hard. I don't know how hard it is. I don't really know what it entails, so it's hard to know. And the other would be some kind of programming class, either C++ or maybe a database class. Databases are boring, but it'd be easier to do database with the other 2 things because it's boring. It's easier. C++ is probably going to be a challenge. Not that I couldn't handle the challenge. I got an A in my C class, so I think, and I have been programming a little bit lately, so it's not like I don't think it'd be possible, but programming is more complex than database administration. And so I wonder, if I can handle the rigors of a program. C++ is no joke. It's a pretty intense programming language. It's like the daddy of a lot of other ones, from what I understand. A lot of syntax in C++, like a lot of, should I say, the brackets. I don't know what I'm talking about. I sort of have an idea. There's a lot of brackets. I know I hate the fucking brackets. That's why I like Python. I like the indentations. But anyway, it's getting off subject. I'm an amateur. I don't even know what I'm talking about, really. But so yeah, maybe I take database to go easy on myself. I have no idea. I don't want to I haven't been studying Python as much because I started studying Calculus 1 on Khan Academy. And I'm right now I'm 8% through the Khan Academy course. it was kind of, really, if I really wanted to be prepared totally for my calculus classes, I should have started with trigonometry and algebra even again. I probably should have taken intermediate algebra again, because I'm 8% through this calculus course and already coming across stuff that I know I learned at one point in algebra, way the hell back when, 2008, I think I retook algebra, or 2007 maybe it was. 2008 might have been trigonometry, I can't remember, or some combination of those years. Now these trigonometric identities are coming up, the common angles or whatever, in the unit graph, all this kind of stuff, things that like I remember learning way the hell back when, but it's like it's not really popping back into my brain. I have to like rememorize all this stuff. I gotta rememorize how to do quadratic equations properly, and the properties, all the properties that I've learned, And 8% through, it's like I'm trying to kind of learn as I go, but I'm thinking, like, am I ever going to remember this stuff just from reviewing, Or am I going to have to go back and take algebra again and trigonometry again, because it's not, like, popping into my brain. It's like I'm learning all this stuff over again. I'm kind of forcing myself through it, and I've gotten to 8% without having to stop, but it's like at a certain point, if I'm in the class and we get to the test time and I can't remember, an old algebraic property or, a trigonometric identity, I'm going to find myself stuck on the test with nowhere to go, and it's like I can, for the moment, I can go on ChatGPT, or I can, do some research online and figure it out, but I don't think that they're going to be offering me open book tests, or open phone tests, whatever it is. And so without that, am I going to be able to recall all the years of algebra and trigonometry that I didn't have? I have no idea, And I'm at 8% of the calculus class. I've been putting some time into the calculus class, It's been 12 days since I made my last video. I didn't really start the calculus class until a few days ago, so I guess it's, maybe it was, I think it was right before I left. I started it right before I left I went to Portland for the weekend with family, which was fun. Fun, except depressing, because I'm still depressed about, the reality of my situation. The fact that I'm officially old now, still have no career, and, even getting this degree is daunting. But, so that was hanging over my head the whole time, feeling worthless because I was rejected by a girl I liked, and not necessarily rejected, but just mostly ignored, or generally felt like they weren't receptive to my wishes about the whole thing, or not my wishes, but didn't have the reciprocal feeling that I recently heard that men are more likely to overestimate interest in a girl, so I guess that's probably why I thought that she was into me, because apparently all men make these same stupid mistakes. But anyway. So yeah, I just started calculus right before I left, and that was on like Thursday, I guess, and now today is Tuesday, so it's been 5 days, and the whole time in Portland I didn't really study, so maybe I started on Wednesday or Tuesday or Wednesday last, maybe it's been a week. I've gone through 8% in a week. I mean, at that rate, 8 times 10 is 80, so we add another couple of weeks to that. 8 times 13 weeks, something like that. It's going to take me 13 weeks to finish this calculus class at the pace I'm going, Maybe I could speed it up a little. Maybe it could be, let's say, 10 weeks. That's still 2 months, Over 2 months, 10 weeks. And by then, class will already have started, It's June now, July, August. I think classes start in September. So I've decided not to take a class this summer. So if I'm lucky, I'll be finishing up calculus by the time my classes start. And meanwhile, that will be a fly-by-night version, fly by the seat of my pants version, where I'm trying to learn things I've forgotten in trigonometry and algebra while I'm learning calculus. Just feels like a Swiss cheese style rehashing of all the things I've learned, where the point is the holes might fall at a time when they can least afford them. Um, and so, you know, I'm already doubting my success. I'm preparing now, just calculus, 8% in after a week, and that's just one course. It's the calculus course. Then I'll be jumping into physics. I mean, I won't be jumping into calculus 2 yet, I guess, so that's good. And they did take my calculus 1. That was the good news, is that I got an A in calculus 1, and they're applying that, so I only have to take calculus 2, which is, I guess, good. Even though I probably should take calculus again, just to, doubly rehash. I don't know. I suppose when I think about it, that it's like I have to pass a course that's a physics course that requires heavy calculus use after rehashing my math knowledge on Khan Academy. You know, I don't know, these hoops they make you jump through. I'm never gonna fucking use calculus when I'm a programmer. I mean, unless I went into heavy gaming and created a physics environment. I don't even. That's not even my goal. That type of gaming is so intensive and requires so much code. I don't really want to do that. I want to create simpler things that have animations that don't have to do with physics. That are just sort of like little things that happen. I'm thinking of turn-based game. Turn-based games don't require physics in the same way. I mean, maybe they do if I'm going to have the character walk around in an environment. I guess there has to be something like that, but it doesn't have to be complex. It's not like going to be an action game. So anyway, regardless, um, you know, it's just this physics class and the calculus class. These are just hoops they make you jump through, and it's not just that they're making you jump through it. They make you jump through it at times that are totally inconvenient for you. Not only do you have to pass, you know, I mean it's part of the problem is that I'm going to a small community college, and it's both a good thing and a bad thing. On the good side, you get more student-teacher attention. They'll try to do everything they can to help you. You'll have resources. There'll be more focus on each individual student when there's less students per class and more teachers per student. But on the other side of it, they offer one class. One class for physics, and it's at 8:30 in the morning. When I was going to California, I could take one of 3 or 4 classes, and this is hard to stomach. I knew it was smaller around here, but I thought for sure there would be more than one class. I could go to the other community college, but it doesn't get nearly the same, um, high praise from people. People do like the other one. I could go to Holyoke instead of GCC, but I've already went through all the motions to get signed up to GCC. To have to do it all over again and have to pay to send my transcripts is just kind of like, who knows if they even have classes that aren't at 8:30 in the morning. So anyway, that's the first part of the problem. Is just that the things that it's like I knew there was going to be challenges, but the challenges are greater than I thought they'd be. I got to pass 3 classes while being sleep deprived and not feeling prepared for the heavy math involved. It's not that I can't do the math. I believe I can. It's not stupid. I've been good at math in the past. It's not something that I struggle with generally, but it's really more the workload. You know, it's the time management again. It's this requirement that you adhere to a schedule that is primarily composed of non-leisure time, things you have to do. I guess when it really comes down to it, it's the deep-seated laziness in me that makes it hard for me to commit to getting this degree. It's this requirement that that most of your time be filled with trying to get things done. And I think other people are probably more efficient than I am. I think I take my time with things. I don't like to rush through things. I like to make sure I have a complete understanding of things, but it kind of makes me neurotic, and I go over things more maybe than I need to, and I don't know, it seems to me like I have to go over it as much as I do, but maybe it's okay. I just seem to work slower than other people, so I might get done with coursework for one course in, many more hours than somebody else would be able to do it, and you know, and still and have to make time for the other two courses. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of coursework, and the other negative thing I find out is that the data structures class and either the C++ class or the database class are all online classes, no in-person classes. So now it's not just that I have a lot of work to do for 3 different classes and challenging work that I'm not necessarily prepared for, but it's also that I have to crack my own whip. I've never been good at that. I like the structure of a class environment. I like knowing that, you're going to have to turn in an assignment and your teacher expects you to turn it in, and you're going to disappoint somebody if you don't. Who am I disappointing now? I'm disappointing, a teacher I never see. I'm disappointing a computer requirement, that says, oh, you got to turn in the assignment by whatever. It doesn't have that human component anymore, and the learning doesn't even have the human component. I'm learning off of some kind of online course. I know a lot of older people go back to school this way and they learn this way, but for me, it's not how I learn best. I need the influence of a teacher that I can relate to and that, teaches in a way that I find entertaining. And that's not what this is. So much of school is pushing through this kind of crap, these less than ideal situations where you just have to suck it up and push through things that are not ideal, not pleasant, not well suited to you. This is what other people do that I struggle with. I'm an all or nothing kind of guy, and when things can't be ideal, I just pout and get pissed and frustrated and just wish that the world could bend to my will a little bit, that the world would somehow accommodate me, that it would have me in mind at all, that it would do one little thing to help me out, but no, this is why other people are successful and I'm not, because other people are willing to push through this kind of crap. And I just resent the hell out of it. Resent the hell out of the fact that the class couldn't be taught at a time that was more convenient for me. Resent the hell out of the fact that 2 of the 3 classes that I'm going to be taking have to be online. This is just going to be, I don't know, I guess I'm going to push forward with it, but it's like I feel so lacking in confidence about the outcome. It seems like it's going to be a disaster. And that's not the kind of attitude you want to take to these things. You want to take a I'm going to kick ass attitude, But I just, I don't know. I'm going through the motions with the calculus. I don't hate the calculus. It's okay, The hard part is just having all this stuff brought up that I remember knowing at one point and just don't anymore. Having to rememorize all this stuff. I've got to make flashcards to memorize all the trigonometric identities. I mean, the trigonometric identities were a huge pain in the ass for me the first time through. I had a terrible teacher in my first trigonometry class. He gave me a B even though I deserved an F because he didn't know what the hell he was doing, and he knew he was a terrible teacher, and he passed everybody because he would have to give F's to everybody if he was actually going based on his actual teaching skill. I didn't deserve my B in trigonometry. I didn't fully understand it at all. Now I got to bring back this knowledge that was only half taught to me in the first place that I was never very good at, It's and be able to recognize the situations in which that's what's tough about math is you gotta be able to look at an equation and recognize the pattern and say, oh yeah, I remember that thing I learned 3 years ago. That's what I need right now, It's like I guess the more you do it, the more you're able to recognize the situations and what they call for, but. It's the real world, it's not even like that. They set things up so that you can recognize those situations, but in the real world, when you're doing calculations, you just have to figure out what works in the moment, and it's not so obvious probably in the real world when you got a problem to deal with. Which technique is the best to go with. I don't know. It takes a lot of practice, I'm sure. I'm not trying to be a mathematician. I'm just trying to pass frickin' physics and calculus, and it's an uphill battle, that's for sure. We'll see. My plan is, the only thing I've got in my mind is that maybe I can go to the school campus and find a study group and hopefully, find people who can help me, tutors, if I have to pay for tutors. I mean, finding a tutor is another thing all in itself. I remember paying for a tutor in California, and the guy I hired didn't explain things at all well, and it's like you get in this awkward situation where your tutor is not well suited to you. You need to give them the boot, but you don't want to hurt their feelings, so you just kind of, It's like trying to get rid of my tutor in California was a disaster. You know, he was just like so hurt, and I was like, I felt like such a terrible person for letting him go, even though he was just doing a terrible job and wasn't explaining things well, wasn't well suited to me. And you just have no way. It's not an easy way to vet these people. And if I'm relying on, teachers in the lab, I mean, I don't know if it's like the same thing as, maybe it won't be the same as it was in California, but in California, I remember trying to get time with a tutor. You'd just sign onto a wait list, and it would be like, you'd be doing math on your own for an hour, and then maybe you'd get to see the tutor for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then you'd go back on the wait list again, and you just have to keep wait listing, and it just wasn't enough time to feel like you had, a long block of time to help figure things out. So I can say I'm going to go to the lab and try to study, but there's no guarantee there'll be people there that can help me. I can go to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT could possibly be the thing that would help me get through a lot of these other problems, but ChatGPT isn't perfect, and a lot of times ChatGPT requires that you figure out a lot of things on your own with the information they give you, so it's still very self-motivated, and I just have a struggle to be self-motivated, especially with this kind of stuff. I'm interested in what I can do with computer science in terms of making the game that I want to make. There's a game. I have in mind a game that I want to make. By the way, let me put this out there too. If you have any interest in making a musical game, like a game that's, and I'm not talking about Guitar Hero. This is another level. If you want to make something, I don't want to reveal exactly what it is. I might have already mentioned it in another video, but if you're interested in making a innovative, unique type of musical video game that teaches you how to play a real MIDI instrument, reach out to me. I would much rather not go to school and just work with some other group of people on developing a game that matched my vision. Maybe you have a similar vision. I don't know. If you have a similar vision, if you're, I don't want to come out and say what it is, but it's different. It's not Guitar Hero. It's a different kind of music game. There's a place for it in the market, I believe. It's not a huge place. It's not going to be like Street Fighter 2 was in the 90s. If any of you people remember that. I don't know what's big now. Whatever is huge now. I don't know what people are playing now. I don't know. It used to be Fortnite. I think that's a long time ago. Minecraft is pretty popular still. It's not going to be Minecraft level huge, but it's going to be, it might get to Guitar Hero levels of awareness in the culture, if it was pulled off the right way. I need people that can. I'm willing to learn to code. I'm willing to do all the things that I need to do, but I need a team of people that make this happen. And we can all. I'm not trying to ask for the lion's share of the money. We can all split the money equally if you're into it. We'll just work together. I'm looking for a team of people that want to make, something unique and different, innovative, that teaches you music. Gamification of the process of learning music. It's a lot like Guitar Hero, except Guitar Hero, was mostly based around a controller that was, just buttons. It wasn't a real instrument. They started bringing instruments in later on. Rock Band and Guitar Hero did, but they didn't do it in a way that takes your mind off of the fact that you're learning an instrument. The whole point of my game is to, take you away from the process of learning music and make it more about the game than about learning the music. And the side benefit is you learn the music. And I want to be, it's not even a game that I want to take lightly in terms of, like, I want to really teach people. I want people to learn music. I want them to be excited about learning, I don't feel like Rock Band, who attempted to do that with a real instrument, was able to generate excitement in the learner, At the root, I think people who were trying to learn real instruments with a Rock Band still had to be dedicated to learning an instrument, more than playing a game. And I think in my mind, the idea is to make a game that involves you so much that you forget that you're not in it for learning the instrument. You're in it for the game, That's what I really want. I want to make it so immersive, so involved that, you come back to it to play, not to play the game, not to play the instrument, And the instrument it should still be effective as a teaching tool. I feel strongly about it. I want it to be effective as a teaching tool, but I want it to be so engaging that you don't think of it as, an easier way to learn an instrument. I want it to be, this is a game that I want to play, and the nice side benefit of is I'm learning an instrument. So yeah, if you're interested in that kind of thing, or maybe you could point me to some resource. I'd love to find other people that were interested this is why I'm going back to school, is to find people that might be interested in this sort of thing. It's not like it's not a big part of the market. Musical games. They're out there. They're here and there. You see them more as mini games. I feel like Nintendo was doing. I'd love to talk to Shigeru Miyamoto. I almost feel like I should just learn Japanese and move near Shigeru Miyamoto and try to insert myself into his life until he listens to me and helps me make my thing happen. Because he would really appreciate it. Nintendo really understands gaming, and they love musical stuff. Just like Ocarina of Time had the ocarina. They made a virtual musical instrument with the N64 controller. That was a stroke of genius. Like very few I've seen in gaming. The fact you had to basically, I forget how many octaves it was. I think it was like a 2-octave instrument. They made the N64 controller into a 2-octave instrument. I mean, that was just so, to me, that was incredible. Um, I don't know if anything like that had been done before, but this is why Nintendo would be the company to make it happen. If I ever get my shit together, I'm going to Nintendo first. I want to give them a shot. But I don't know. I'd rather do it on my own. I could go to Harmonix too. I don't know where they're based. I don't know if they'd listen to me. But if you want to make a game with me, this is probably the only part of this video that's worth anything. If you wanted to make a musical game with me, and you wanted to help me learn to code, maybe. I'm already learning. It's not like I can't learn to code. I'll learn. I'll put the time in. I'll put the effort in because I'll be motivated by the game. I'm not motivated by. The problem is I'm not motivated by a degree. Because the reality is, most of the degree is not going to be about making the stuff I want to make. It's going to be about making boring things that have everyday applications. Maybe they have business applications, but they don't excite me. I really wanted. What I find disappointing is that there's no educational program where you get to kind of pick what you want to learn. I mean, there is. UMass has one. UMass has a program. It's a design your own major program. And that's one of the reasons why I was attracted to the idea of going to UMass, because I thought maybe I'd go to UMass and, do my own musical video gaming program. It's not a common thing. It'd be something that would be a good, unique approach for UMass. I even talked to an advisor about it, and they said that was actually something that would potentially be a possibility. But even still, to get into UMass, I got to get a B in calculus. In the last calculus course, I got to get B's in physics minimum. Got to keep my GPA reasonable. There's still hoops to jump through. If I had my way, I'd just go right into making the musical game. So if anyone out there is interested in making a musical game that's a little more involved than Guitar Hero was, reach out to me or point me to a resource where maybe I could find other people that are interested in the same type of thing. I'm looking to connect with people that want to make something innovative and new. That's what I want to do. I want to make my mark. I want to create something that doesn't exist. To me, that's all I have left. This kind of segues nicely into my next part, which is just that it's so hard being my age. I've said this before. I've been bemoaning turning 40. I'm in my 40s. Beautiful young women are not an option that's on the table anymore for me, unless I make a shit ton of money, and I really don't expect to, even with my game. If I made my game exactly how I wanted to, who knows if I'd even make any kind of money at all. But even if I did, that's one of the other things. It's like, when you're young, you believe in that true love can exist. You believe in romance. You believe that there's somebody out there that's meant for you. The older I get, the more it seems like everything's transactional. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. What have you done for me lately? Unless you are moving forward with somebody else, they'll drop you like a hot potato. There's no real love. It's all based around convenience. What's convenient for you? What pushes you forward? I don't know. If I found a girl who I thought, was high value, I'd push myself to be high value for them, you know. If I found a girl who could love me and saw the potential in me and could push me, you know, I would work hard for that love, you know. I'd work hard for that relationship. But it seems like most girls want a fully formed partner. They don't want somebody who's willing to work to be something great. They want someone who's already great. They want to be pulled up. They don't want to have to pull anyone else up, which is, you know, it makes sense. I get it. You know, I mean, if I thought I could, you know, date a girl that the problem I think is, you know, for women it's so much more important how a guy does, and for men it's not so important. If I could date a girl who wasn't so pretty, and I thought I could, you know, inspire her to be pretty somehow, you know, I mean, I don't think that's possible. I think you're either born good looking or not. You can do some cosmetic surgeries and things like that, but you know, you're never going to look as good with cosmetic surgery as you would just from, you know, being born beautiful to start with. You know, it's not the same kind of aspiration. If I thought I could date an ugly girl and there was some way, like, you know, if there was some parallel universe where, you know, you could work your way into being more beautiful, then I think if I really got along with a girl who was ugly, you know, I'd be willing to pull her up into being beautiful in that alternate universe that doesn't exist. But it doesn't seem like women are interested in pulling you forward. You know, there is a great version of me that I think could come out if I had the right incentive. You know, with the right partner. You know, the partner that you know offered the reward of, you know, the right kind of attraction to me. I'd be willing to put in effort. You know, because that's the type of thing where it would be, you know, there'd be a carrot there. You know, I need a carrot. I need something within reach in order to want to work. When I think about getting a degree, you know, the payoff from getting the degree is so far in the future. You know, 3 years from now, I'll be 47. That'll probably be roughly when I would get the degree. And the degree isn't even the payoff. The degree is like, you know, the first step towards the payoff. You know, that's why I like the idea of going after making the game to start. You know, the payoff is right there. You know, as you work on the game, you're getting payoff. You're seeing it develop. You're seeing a dream realized. You know, my dream was never to have a computer science degree. I wanted to get a computer science degree because, you know, I thought it was required, not because I ever had any passion for it. I have a passion for making my game, and if I had the right people around me, you know, who shared my enthusiasm, we could push each other to make something great, you know. But, you know, I don't know if I'll ever have enthusiasm for getting a degree in computing and getting some mediocre freaking coding job where I'm doing some kind of, you know, widget turning in the behind the scenes. And you know, maybe I would. I think I'd be more motivated to get the degree if I had some girl who believed in me and was, you know, rewarding me with regular rendezvous. If you know what I'm saying, you know. If I thought, oh, you know, I woke up at 8:30, I had a shit day, I barely got through physics, you know, I'm gonna have to do all this work, but at least I can sleep with my beautiful girlfriend who believes in me, and you know, and that'll you know, that'll be enough, you know. It'll get me through the hard times, you know. People always say, oh well, you know, a girlfriend just complicates things, doesn't make things easier, but you need something to motivate you, you know. I need motivation. Without someone to believe in me, without someone to offer the reward of sex, you know, as a, you know, as a carrot to improving yourself, you know, you wonder what it's all for, you know. Like my cashier, you know, when she was working with us the first time, I was in some of the best shape of my life, including there was not even the cashier, even before that, the other girl that I liked, or the other couple of girls I liked that worked in the co-op, you know, they were a great motivating factor. I started working out. I was totally out of shape. And once they were there, it gave me something to shoot for, you know. I was like, okay, you know. I mean, maybe I'm old, maybe I'm a lot older than they are, but at least I up my chances, you know. So I started working out. I got into great shape, you know. I pushed myself hard. I lost What was it, 70 pounds or something crazy like that. I'm capable of doing great things with the right incentive, and it didn't end up being worthwhile. It was all a delusion. I lost all that weight, I got into shape, and they weren't interested in me. Or if they were interested in me, I blew it, acting like too much of a nice guy. Or a beta, as the incels would say. Um, more likely, I never had a shot because I was a grocery store employee, which is never going to get girls excited. But, it just shows the power of the motivation of, having someone who believes in you, especially an attractive woman who believes in you. There's no attractive woman that believes in me now. You know, they all think I'm a loser. Any attractive woman that I know, you know, that by now I've proven to them, you know, because I just there's no interest. All the attractive women I know are too young for me, and the right woman, showed some belief in me and liked me as a person and wanted to see me do well. I would be willing to work hard for that woman, but it doesn't seem like that's something that happens. Women are looking for a fully formed man. They're not looking, especially not someone in my age. They're not looking for someone in his 40s trying to redefine himself. People look at you and say, well, you've made it this far. You're 44 years old. You haven't done anything for yourself now. Why should I believe that I'm going to be the one to get you over the hump? It's hard. What do they say? Far bridge or something. There's something. I'm mixing metaphors. Long bridge to cross. I don't know. So it's the motivation has to all come from me. And what is the motivation? Motivation is, to be with some woman who's in her 30s. That's the best I can do. I have to get over the fact. I have to live with the fact that, I'm a failure up until this point. And to not be a failure requires, several years of hard work. And this is probably nothing new. This is what guys do. In order to get a beautiful woman, you got to work your ass off. You got to achieve. This is what women want. They want to see that you're engaged and motivated. It's a lot easier to be engaged and motivated when you're young and you think, oh, well, I'll have a shot to buy if I'm, in my 30s and I'm making good money. I can still sleep with any woman. You're in your early 30s, you can get a girl in her 20s as long as you're doing all right. So there's some excitement there, even if you're not doing exactly what you want. The enticing, there's still enticing to make some money because you know that it's going to make you, more eligible. I mean, I didn't even know that when I was young. I just assumed that romance was real and you'd find a girl who appreciated you for who you were, and how much money you made didn't make any difference. But I'll tell you right now, the older you get, the more you realize that you've got to achieve. If you don't achieve, a woman's not going to love you. Women don't love you if you don't achieve something. You know, they won't love you just for your sense of humor. They won't love you just for your being tall. They won't love you just for having an agreeable personality. Or not being an abuser, or being someone who appreciates them and loves them, and that's not enough. You can't just do that. You also have to, you've got to be a force to be reckoned with. If you're not a force to be reckoned with, women mostly want nothing to do with you. If I'd known that when I was younger, I probably would have tried harder. I think I thought things could still work out for me even if I wasn't one of these go-getters. But it's the go-getters who get what they want in life, or at least they get the instinctual things. The things that biology does to make us happy. You know. So it's like, the best I can hope for is a limited subset of, you know, if I'd stuck to computer science when I was young and got my degree and made a ton of money, I could have slept with any girl. You know, the world would have been my oyster. Now I'm severely limited. I can be with a girl who's older and may have had kids. In which case their body is not nearly in the same shape as it was when they were younger, or they may have had a lot of boyfriends, meaning I got to be compared to their boyfriends. I don't have any experience in the bedroom, so how am I supposed to do well compared to past boyfriends if I haven't even had time to learn, you know? I mean, who knows? I believe that I don't know. I believe that I wouldn't be terrible in the bedroom with enough time, but everything takes experience to some extent, and I'm not naturally confident, so that's gonna hurt, you know. So, I'll be dealing with, not as, women who aren't as probably as good shape unless they're gym nuts. And if they're gym nuts, then you better be a gym nut too. I'm not a gym nut. I like the gym, but I mean, I like working out, or I do it because I feel like I have to, but it's not something I revel in, you know. You're going to be dealing with girls who've been with a lot of guys. You're dealing with girls who've dealt with emotional trauma from being with the wrong types of guys. And a lot of the prettiest ones have been, or the most likely to have been with the wrong types of guys. Because they think, oh, I'm pretty, so he'll settle down with me. And they don't realize what cads men are. Most of us really, as a man, you almost feel like you're missing an opportunity. If you're good looking enough that beautiful women want to be with you, then if you settle down with one young, you're feeling like you're missing out on the opportunity to be with a lot of them. And as men, our natural biological instinct is to be with as many beautiful women as possible, So it's no wonder that men don't settle down, but women don't understand it because they're seeing things from their perspective. Just like I had a hard time understanding that women wanted men who were achievers because that's the biological perspective of a woman. I couldn't understand that because I've never been a woman. Just like the way a woman can't understand how, a good-looking man won't settle down with them because, it's our biological imperative to not settle down with a woman when opportunities are coming. But anyway, it's like I wonder how some like if you're a professional athlete and you're loyal to your wife, you must feel like you're missing every possible chance in the world. You must feel like you must really wonder what am I missing out on? How many girls could I be with? And it's like biological imperative to mate with different women is so strong that any professional sports athlete who remains faithful to their either wives or girlfriends, is you know I mean, if you loved them enough, that would be a great thing. But it also, even if you loved them enough, and even if you had a very strong relationship with them, you gotta wonder, what kind of, opportunities you're missing out on. It must be hard, I'm sure, for guys that really love their wives to constantly say no to these opportunities. Just so many gorgeous women that go for you as a professional ball player. Anyway, especially if you're a horn dog. But I don't know. I'm kind of gone off on a tangent here. Basically, I'm just finding that there's no incentive for me. There's very little incentive for me to move forward. The future is so uncertain. This is the other thing I struggle with is when you have uncertain rewards. It's hard to push yourself when the rewards aren't right there for you to see. I need something that's graspable, and a degree is not something I can grasp. What does it mean when I get a degree? Does it mean I'm that much more employable? Does it mean I'm going to get a job making the games that I want to make? You know, or is it going to mean that I'm going to go get some business job where I get paid decent, but I hate the work, and I hate my manager? Or is it going to mean that I come out and the skills that I got, while still somewhat valuable, are not a golden ticket to anything, and I'll still have to struggle and work my way up from some menial coding job until I can finally, maybe 5 years later, I'll have enough experience that I'll start to get paid decent. By then, I'll be, in my mid 50s, even further out of range, even unable to date women in their 30s anymore. Now I'm looking at women in their 40s, before I'm making decent money. It's just like, where is the incentive here? The incentive is far off in the distance. Maybe if you're a better man than me, you can look 10 years off in the distance and say, well, it'll be worth it when I get there, But for me, it's like 10 years from now, I gotta bust my ass now, round the clock, exhausted, stressed, no leisure time, I got to push myself like this for an uncertain reward, a reward that I can't grasp, a reward that I can't imagine. It's painful. Anyway, it's been almost an hour. I've complained for an hour. I guess I'm gonna make a go at this, but I'm not taking the type of attitude I need to succeed. We'll see. All right, that's all. I'm done for this one.